I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of ladies ask Father Alex, how do I make a high value man commit? But most women never stop and ask themselves, high value for what? Because a man can have all the money, status, and all the other options and still be completely useless to you when it comes to commitment. And I'm gonna warn you right now, some parts of this video is gonna offend you, especially if you overspend or choose based on superficial things. First, we're gonna talk about what does not make a man commit and where a lot of women go wrong. And then in the second part, we're gonna go over the traits that actually makes commitment last long term. And you know what's crazy? The traits nobody talks about might be the most important one. Let's begin with the video. So what is not commitment? Okay, what doesn't create commitment? First one is money. Having money, looking expensive is not what makes a man want to commit. There's so many videos out there for women that talk about looking expensive, that talking about looking glamorous, and unfortunately, that doesn't attract the type of guy that is ready for commitment. You know, that attracts the type of guy that still is looking for dopamine, that lacks oxytocin, that has high cortisol level. A lot of coaches out there, ladies, are lying to you guys. They're creating women who invest in their superficial looks, and I don't mean eating healthy. I mean looking expensive. That will attract guys that are not looking for relationships, that are not looking to be long-term partners, that are not looking to be faithful. Another thing is that pressure will not do that. Okay, pressure, I'm letting him know what you want. Crying and guilt tripping the guy, right, will not make that. Will not make a guy commit. Perfect timing. Girl, I work too much. Girl, I'm too busy. Wait till I'm done with this business. Wait another 6 months, and then I'll be ready. Come on, man. That's not what makes a guy commit. Perfect timing is not what makes a guy commit. He's still in his fuckboy era. That does not make a guy commit, and waiting for him to get out of that era is problematic, right? Next one is being the right woman doesn't make a guy commit. Okay, not being good. This is such a big one because it's not about the right woman. It's not whether or not your eyes are a little bit more symmetrical than the other girl. Okay, because a lot of the times looks do matter, but not as much as you think when it comes to long-term commitment. Now, for hookups, yes, looks do matter. For short-term, fuck yeah, hell yeah, it matters. What the hell, right? Freedom, a man you valuing freedom doesn't matter. Hedonism and constant novelty is not what makes a man commit. Okay? Seeking pleasure, seeking the newness, right? Traveling to new countries, going to that new place doesn't make a man commit. And we first have to understand that, because unfortunately these are the easy pickings. This is the most common denominator. What God, Father Alex is snapping. I am snapping. All right. So let's talk about what makes a man commit for real. Getting that boob job doesn't make a man commit. Getting curvy, getting the BBL doesn't make a man commit. Getting that extra lip filler doesn't make a man commit. And if you're under the illusion that going that route is I'm not pretty enough. Listen to me, okay? We as humans can improve 0.5 and maybe even 1 point from how attractive we are. That extra point is not going to be the difference in finding a long-term partner. And trying to force that extra point through superficial short-term solutions will only take you further away from your goal. So let's talk about what other mistakes you guys, women, make that deviates you guys from finding a long-term partner for long-term commitment. So where are you making the mistakes, you might ask? Well, one, choosing narcissistic partners. And this usually happens when we use status, glamour, superficiality as a way to attract them, right? When we use sexual attention to attract them, right? This is how you get the narcissistic partners. When you go after the most attractive guys, the guys with the most money, the guys with the most muscles, the guys with the most status, with the most followers. Think about it, right? Like, think about most athletes. Think about some of the highest CEOs. Most of them, it's narcissistic traits that took them there. Guys that are cool guys, that are good to party with, that have charismatic personalities. A lot of the times it's narcissism that fuels it, and usually this occurs because of lack of love growing up, right? They were with lack of love when they were creepy little children, okay? And that is what causes them to look attractive, right? And the next one is that where you also make the mistakes is that you tolerating abuse and cheating, not only in your current relationships, right? Just because they're attractive, you like them, but also in your past relationships, right? In your past relationships, when you end up tolerating these things, you end up recreating them. The more you tolerate it, the more you get desensitized you become to it, and unconsciously you almost become attracted to those things, right? Another one is you ignore the red flags, all because you are noticing the narcissistic traits. Remember, these narcissistic traits look attractive. He's so self-absorbed that he's ripped. He's fucking yoked, muscles coming out of his ears. He is so insecure that he needs to be the most dominant person in his office, and as a result, he's the most recognized, the most successful one in his office, the one who controls everything, the one who looks confident. When in reality, it's insecurity that fuels it. So you ignore those repeated red flags. So you'll see that he might have cheated in the past. You'll see that he might have he might never have kept a long-term relationship. He doesn't have friends. Okay, he doesn't have a close relationship with his parents, with his family, always talking bad about people, right? And also, you're dating from fear of being single. You know, I'm getting too old. I'm getting out of the age of having a kid. I need to find someone quickly. This is what's going to draw you in the traps, the spider webs of a narcissistic relationship, which will waste your time. You're letting your impatience choose for you. I need this now. I need this right now. And when you allow fear to drive your decision making, you're gonna attract situations that will amplify that fear. It's how things work, people. It's one of those you would think that if you're driven by fear, you're gonna find something that settles you down. No, you're gonna find things that are gonna cause more fear in your heart. Or you try to keep up with the Joneses. What do I mean keeping up with the Joneses? Well, your girlfriend got with that athlete. Your girlfriend got with that famous guy. Now you want to get that famous guy. Your girlfriend got with that guy that earns money, that has a house. Now you want to get a guy that has money and that has a house. And freaking Bob, the good partner, is trying to court you, but because you're seeking that high dopaminergic hit because you're trying to keep up with everyone else, you ignore the guy that's good for you. And all of these guys that want commitment usually don't appear as glamorous. They just don't. They're the types that have a simple life. And unfortunately, deep unhappiness, deep dissatisfaction, constant comparison doesn't like simplicity. It loves the extravagant. It loves the glamour. So now, let's talk about what makes a man actually commit. Now that you understand, okay, what doesn't make a guy commit, okay. Now that you understand where you're going wrong, because again, if you're not finding a guy, if you're struggling with commitment, with getting a guy that commit, a lot of the times we're just going on in the wrong direction. So they must first want commitment. First of all, it's not that he tells you that he wants commitment. It's that his life fits commitment. He has a certain lifestyle that makes commitment impossible. He doesn't travel for months and then comes back. His job permits him and gives him the time to actually invest in a relationship. The problem is that a lot of the times, again, I would say is when you look for guys who have superficial value, what I mean by that, it's the opposite of that, which is what? Him being emotionally open. Superficial value is good looking, biggest muscles, most money. Everyone wants him. He's pre-selected. He has status, right? All of those things sometimes comes with a lifestyle that leads that doesn't make commitment doesn't make commitment possible. And the next thing is that they must first want genuine partnership, not a top-down dynamic where he has all the power, but a more so of a partnership. Okay? And how do you know that? Well, just look at his history. Their history shows the stability. His past shows that he is able to live in one place, that he is able to keep a job, that he is able to keep equal relationships, not power dynamics where he is the center of attention, but relationships where they're stable and consistent and equal, right? And he does not chase novelty, right? Sometimes you meet a guy and he tells you he wants commitment, but you notice that his whole lifestyle says the opposite. You know, a lot of the times I get called from clients and they date guys that work too much, that they're addicted to they have drug addictions, right? They seek hedonism. They travel so much that they can't be in one place. And let's just say you work at a 9 to 5 and he travels all the time. You can't be committed to a guy like that, right? He doesn't have a history of relationships. Everything about him says a lack of self-control. And so all of that says, no matter what he says with his words, his lifestyle that he has chosen says lack of commitment. And then when you look at his family, when you look at his parents, the examples that he had, or even the people who he admires, all of those people are not committal. All of those people, even if they're committed, they're not fully committed. And even if they are fully committed, they've somehow find a way to sabotage it in the future. You got to be very, in the first 3 dates, and this is something that I talk about in my course, The Commitment Formula. In the first 3 dates, you have to look and scavenge for those signs of incompatibility, those signs that says non-committal, because his words will always say commitment. His words will always say the things that you want to hear, especially if you're blinded by superficiality. And let me tell you something. When I say you're blinded by superficiality, I don't mean that you're superficial. Sometimes it just means low self-esteem. When human connection, when your parents didn't soothe you enough and didn't give you the attention that you needed, you unconsciously will seek experiences and superficial things to make you feel better because human connection failed to do so. And so it does create that sort of superficiality that draws you to these types of guys that are unfortunately not fitted for relationships. So no matter how hard you try, how many spinneroonies you make, you can't change that guy. So once you understand this, let's talk about the other part that makes a guy commit. Understanding this part especially, that they must want commitment. Is you can have the best, you can have all of the traits we talk about in this video, but if he doesn't want commitment and he is in what I like to call an avoidant, he has an avoiding attachment style. No matter how perfect you are, you could be Mother Teresa, he's not going to commit. All right, let's talk about the other part. Next one is having a secure feminine energy. Okay, what I mean by femininity is not powerlessness. Right? It's pretty much letting the man lead, allowing a guy that you trust, not a man that you resent, not a man that you secretly want to control, okay? But a man that you trust, a man who's consistent, a man who's there, a man who keeps his word, a man that you know loves you, a man that you know will be there tomorrow, a man that you know will have your back regardless of what happens. When you're able to be with a guy like that, you're able to be your most feminine because you could surrender to him. Now, what do I mean by surrendering? Surrendering is not being submissive, okay? It's pretty much allowing the man to lead, okay? He's the CEO and you are the co-CEO, whatever you call that. And and you call that more of a partnership. Right? Sometimes whenever you lack trust in men because of one, a childhood where your caregivers wasn't there for you completely, right? And also because you are attracted to men that are not trustworthy, which usually comes from trauma. usually comes from unresolved resentment, unresolved anxiety. You will gravitate towards men that naturally you shouldn't trust. It's just how it is. And because of that, rather than surrendering to a guy, you get into a competition with him, right? You don't want to completely surrender to the relationship because deep down you feel like at any moment they're going to leave you. And when that happens, what that does is that it puts an armor of masculine energy. And there's an unseen quality about you that feels too rigid, too masculine, and too overcalibrated towards the defensiveness, too bitter. And that destroys your feminine energy. What that does is that it actually attracts feminine men. You become attracted to men that gives you that power. And men who you feel like you could have a partnership with, an equal relationship, you might find it boring. Just like men who are too much in their masculine and they date a woman who wants an equal relationship, they find that woman boring, right? These guys are perpetually alone. The same thing with women. What you want to be able to do is, one, feel respected by the guy. So that means if you're in an abusive relationship, if you're with a man who's not consistent, who disrespects you verbally or physically, you can't have that secure feminine energy. You got to be loved by the guy. And sometimes these guys that are toxic can never truly love a woman because they're too into objectifying them. They're either love addicts, sex addicts, or drug addicts. They can't truly connect with you when they have unresolved problems and when they have vices that they use to escape reality from. And you feel safe. You know they're always going to be there. So if you're able to feel respected by the guy, loved by the guy, safe by the guy, you then are able to allow him to lead by surrendering to him, which then allows you to feel secure and feminine, right? But make sure to do this. Keep your voice and keep your boundaries. Now, this goes into the other point. You have to be willing to walk away. Okay? You have to be willing to walk away. You can't apply this strategy and you're not willing to walk away. Because what that says, once again, is that insecurity is driving your relationship. You can't sit in this relationship and be still and be relaxed and be at peace because you can't walk away. You secretly, when women are not able to walk away, it breeds internal resentment. So what you want to be able to do is, one, date with a purpose, right? When you date a guy, know exactly what you're looking for. And if he doesn't, shut the fuck up. There's a sound outside. What did I say? And if you can't date with a purpose, sometimes it's best to just take a break from dating and know and get clear in your mind what you're truly looking for in a man. Know exactly what you want. And once you know what you want, go out and date. Don't date to find out what you want. Don't go out on dates with a guy and you don't have a clear objective about why you're on a date with him. Right? Know exactly what you want. You want a relationship? Stick to that. Do you want him to feel respected? You want him to respect you? Stick to that and know exactly what that looks like. You want to be able to use the 3-month rule. If after 2 or 3 months, they don't want a relationship, get out. Get out of that relationship. If after 2 or 3 months, they don't want a relationship, get out. If you're not in a relationship with them after 2 or 3 months, get out. I don't care if his granny fell from the stairs. I don't care if granny choked on a pork chop and now he doesn't have time to be in a relationship with you. He gotta wait till granny recovers. Fuck granny, okay? If after 2 or 3 months, you don't want a relationship, get the hell out. And this is not like you're like waiting for him to fuck up. You're not like, oh, I can't wait till he fucks up so I can walk away. No, you just have those standards in your mind. That's all. You just have it in your mind. And let that rest. And it radiates from you. And the right guys, the guys that want something equal, the guys that want a partnership, they'll see this and sense it. And for some reason, they'll be attracted to you. They'll want commitment. They'll see you as commitment material. What you want to be able to do is watch his consistency and effort. Is he consistent? Meaning, does he see you in a way? Does he see you enough for you to feel secure around him? Does he want to see you as much as you want to see him? Does he have the lifestyle to be able to see you as consistently as you want to see him? Does he put the effort? Does he listen to what you say and goes out of his way to make romantic gestures? Do you feel valued by his gestures? Or do you feel like he doesn't do enough? Or do you feel like he's not doing enough? And again, I'm not talking about does he take you out on expensive restaurants. I'm not talking about does he spend enough money on you. That's not what I'm talking about. We're not here to do that. We're here to find something long-term and something healthy. And sometimes the effort is just in how much thought he puts into you. Right? To compare his actions and his words. And if his actions and his words are consistently not being matched, get the hell out. Does he leave repeated mixed signals? If he leaves mixed signals, that's a red flag. Get the hell out. Don't go Scooby-Doo mode. Don't say, oh my God, I gotta find out what's going on. He's not consistent with me. No, absolutely not. If he's not consistent, get out. Get out of that relationship. Usually guys don't all of a sudden become consistent. That's not how guys work. They're either consistent or they're not. No middle ground. And usually you see that within the first 2 or 3 months. Right, people? Let's continue. Now, the last one. This one. This one is important. And I'm a ruffle some feathers. Some ladies are gonna get pissed off at Father Alex on this one because I know this is a problem. The last point is a problem. Watch this. Being financially irresponsible. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing will disqualify you from a good guy, from a guy who's financially responsible, than you being financially irresponsible. I'm gonna give you this look. Financial, can I look? Look at that. Oh my God, Father Alex became a dog. He's looking at us weird. Yeah, listen to me. Spending addiction is a real thing. Spending so much money on Amazon, spending all your money on nails, on hair, and eating ramen noodles at the end of the month. Ladies and gentlemen, financial irresponsibility will be the death of your relationships. The only guys you're gonna get if you have no financial wisdom is guys who also don't know how to spend their money. A lot of people get in relationships with debts. Okay, let's be honest. You gotta be honest about money. If you're in debt, don't bring that up later on in the relationship. Okay? You want to be able to be with a guy where you're able to build savings with the guy. You want to be able to hold a budget and be able to plan ahead. What that means when you're able to do that is that you have emotional intelligence. Because money is not about money. It's really an emotional thing. If you cannot hold a budget and plan ahead and save money, let me tell you something. This is what I believe. In life, if you really think about it, no matter what's going on in the economy, we usually have enough if we're responsible enough. We usually have enough money. It's not about how much money you earn. It's how much money you're able to spend. And unfortunately, what comes down to how much money you end up in life is how much you're able to control your impulses. And a lot of women, unfortunately, will end up dating guys with vices, compulsive habits of overspending, where they might be gamblers or they smoke so much weed that 10% of their income goes to weed. Trust me, Father Alex was that guy, right? You want to be able to not only pick a guy who's financially responsible, who puts his money where they should be, but also you want to be the woman who's also financially responsible with her money and his money. And unfortunately, the world today advertises to us in such a way that it makes us financially irresponsible. Makes people go on vacations that they don't even have the money for. And then when they get into a relationship, they hide the fact that they're in debt. The relationship already starts in secrecy. You already have secrets in a relationship. All because of just because you manage your money the wrong way. Yeah, you had bad examples, but you're an adult. This is honestly one of the most important things. There is taking care of your body through eating healthy and working out, right? There is taking care of your mind through prayer, meditation, therapy, and trying to work on quitting any compulsive habits. And then there's your finances. Those 3 pillars will fuck up or make your relationships. Because when you're able to be financially secure with a guy, meaning not that you make a lot of money, but that you guys know how to budget and keep the budget and trust each other with money, It reduces stress. And the number one cause of divorce is not infidelity. That's what I think. Father Alex, I don't know about that. But from what I heard, it's money problems. And it's not the fact that y'all poor. It's the fact that a lot of the times we just don't know how to spend the money correctly. You spend money compulsively because of just a need in your heart that you need to feel, of just general dissatisfaction. Like, if you don't know how to spend your money, your relationships are going to take a toll. Or women might end up trying to date those ballers that all those other women are trying to date, all because at the end of the day, they want to keep up a certain lifestyle that they don't have the money for. I had to learn that the hard way. Financial responsibility is one of the most attractive traits in a woman. You can tell because of just the way she treats you as well. The fact that she rather prefers spend simple time with you than spend money on a restaurant. Yeah, a lot of women right now are turning their heads right now. But I can promise you, the women who value the simplicity of life will have longer term relationships, and you will look more of a wifey material. Okay? Because so many women out there think that looking hot and just being the curvilicious woman on the block is what gets a guy to get married with you. It's not. It's actually the woman who has control over her life, who can live in a very simplistic way and be happy with it. That's going to attract guys that are looking for commitment and that will be faithful to you longer term. And yeah, of course, sometimes you do this and you meet guys that are unfaithful. Of course. That's why you look for red flags and you're willing to walk away. Eventually, if you do this and you're persistent enough and you develop a deep relationship with God, and eventually you will know the right guys will find you. The problem is that usually the ones that come to you first are the wrong ones. The first one is not the right guy usually. Anyways, for one-on-one coaching, go to mindfulattraction.org to learn more about this. Check out my course, The Commitment Formula, where you can check it out in the description down below. Take care.